Hey there, beautiful people. This is Mentor Shelley. I have missed you all so much. It's been a minute, and life been lifing, but here I am back, and I absolutely want to talk about this very interesting topic. We have been seeing a lot of people have their own commentary to it as far as how accountability or lack thereof is affecting a specific sector of population, um, men. And we're definitely going to look at it from a career and business standpoint tonight. I may or may not have guests. I reached out, make sure to see if they wanted to pop in, and of course, as you guys are coming in, like the video, and we are going to jump in here. Okay, as you guys are coming in, say hello. I promise I won't bite, but what I am going to do is keep it 100% real with all of you. This doesn't go for men; it goes for women as well. But the topic at hand was addressing men specifically. All right, guys, stay tuned. All right. Yes, this is Mentor Shelley. Of course, as you are coming in, drop a like, say hello. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Drop a one in the comments. Can you hear me? Can you see me? I want to make sure you guys are here and ready. We're going to jump right in. This is the video. I'm going to, of course, preface this by saying there are some colorful adult words in there. So I'm going to, warn you guys up front now for those that are sensitive to language. But I want to make sure that the meat and the essence of what he's saying in this 2-minute clip is going to be captured. Mr. Deontay from the podcast. How do they phrase it? Let me make sure I get the right name here. Mr. Kyle, Deontay Kyle, from his podcast is talking about some lack of accountability and things of that nature. But let's hear what he has to say directly. Then we're going to dissect it, and we're going to talk about ways that you can go ahead and learn from this conversation. Hello, Denise. How are you doing? Welcome to the live. It's been a minute, but I am here. Of course, life has been lifing, but I'm fighting back and making sure I'm here to bring the proper perspective to what we have going on out there as far as what people have to say, but how it can affect you in your career, in your business ventures, and things of that nature. So we're going to jump right in here. All right, let's see. Let's get to it. One moment. Let me go ahead and share. Okay. All right, we're going to go to, okay. So we're going to make it bigger for those of you that want to see it in full effect. All right, let's take it off of mute. Make sure you guys can hear it.
The need to respond to racist people online is a sign that you are still seeking validation from your enemy. I don't got time to argue with it. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, what are we arguing on the internet? We're not going to get anywhere. I'm not offended by somebody who takes pride in ignorance. Never be offended by somebody that takes pride in ignorance. And you're trying to educate that. You're trying to civilize a savage. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's like, if I can only present them with the information. No, they take pride in the ignorance. They don't want the information. And this constant need to respond to racism online, to try to educate your enemy. That just means you're seeking validation. Imploring empathy to your enemy constantly. That's a sign of Stockholm syndrome.
Hold on, guys. Wait a minute. This is this is the video. That's the other video. Let me make sure I get the right one queued up here. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me get the right one queued up here because apparently there are a couple of videos out there that are circulating. All right, you guys can see me. All right. Let me make sure I got the right one. Hold on. Whew. It is, he's getting a lot of attention these days, but I want to make sure that we are paying attention because I thought that was a video. My bad, y'all. My bad. Let me make sure we got the right one. Okay. Okay, let's see here. All right, let's cue the right video up here. Okay. All right, guys. While you are here, have you guys seen the video? Go ahead and drop a like, yes or no. Have you seen the video that we're going to be discussing from Mr. Deontay? I want to make sure we have. If you have not seen it, drop a 1. If you have seen it, give me a 2. Okay, let's see. Come on. All righty. Let's open this up for me. Here we go. Okay. All right. Come on, computer, don't fail me now. Okay. Okay. The specific video I want to go over. Come on.
You may not harass.
Okay, there we go. This is the video we want to see. Let's put it up on the screen now, there, shall we? Okay. You have not seen it, but okay, we're gonna go over it right now, of course. Let's get ready to rumble. Hold on. We just
harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not.
Yeah.
And you are accountable for that as well. Because I don't got time to figure out which white people are nice, which white people aren't racist, or da-da-da-da-da. I have to go on the actions of the group.
Right.
The group as a whole and the history of that group as a whole tells me that they are a danger to me and they are not to be trusted.
Right.
And if you can understand that as a black man and your stance towards white people, then you should absolutely be able to understand women's stance towards you. Mm-hmm. It's not a war on you waged by women. Actually, the war get a little thicker when we start talking about it from the perspective of a woman and the greater society of racism and white supremacy being waged against black people, and then the patriarchal society being waged against women. So they have to deal with two elements. One of those elements we don't have to think about. And honestly, we're perpetuated. Mm-hmm. And it's perpetuated against us young to look at women as objects.
Right.
You know, to look at women only through the lens of a sexual desire and not as the human being that they are. And when you understand how to deal with women on a human level, you understand how much women will enrich your life.
Mm. Amen. Amen.
You want to turn it up a notch?
Yeah.
Get you a good woman and get your good black woman in your corner.
Amen.
Hey man, you want to see your life turn up?
Hey.
And see, this is the thing though. It's a privilege, bro. It's a privilege. You know what I'm saying? We often disregard the power of our black women. The spiritual essence that they're gonna bring to things. The knowing, the seeing, you know what I'm saying? Also too, imagine it. They have to be hyper vigilant because they have to be constantly scanning the room, making sure that they're in a safe situation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When we think about these kids who were clearly in Louisiana having the time of their fucking life because they graduated, and we think about white people's reaction to Black joy.
Oh yeah, that's
it's not about civility. It's not about decorum. They don't like to see us happy.
That's what it is.
Now, how often are women just having a good time, and here come a nigga trying to ruin their fun?
Yeah.
I did warn y'all, language.
Let's just be honest. You can call it pandering, but if I was up here caping for white women, you wouldn't even mention that word. If I was up here caping for Hispanic women, you wouldn't even call it pandering. Only when we take pride and show love to black women do you call it pandering. Get your motherfucking mind right. Use your cabeza.
Okay. Woo! He went there. He went all the way there, and he broke it down. Now, I brought this to you guys' attention, if for those of you that may watch this at a later time, along with who's in the live tonight. I brought this to the attention, to you guys' attention, because from what I understand, there is a lot of mixed reactions, obviously, from the manosphere people and those folks. And they're, of course, going in and saying he's pandering and he's this and this and this. And, you know, he pretty much called it out, and he responded to some of the people that said those things. However, in the context I want to bring to the fore, of course, my area, of course, is in career, in business, and getting your economic life together. And part of what he was talking about there is the blatant disregard or the blatant lack of accountability that unfortunately is pervasive in more ways than one in a lot of people that he mentioned in the video. Now, I did warn y'all about the language. He's going to drop a couple of, specialty words in there. But the essence of his message is true. Of course, they're not feeling it, because that requires that you are accountable for your actions. Accountability seems to be a very rare commodity to have, unfortunately. And that's quite unfortunate, because he was specifically speaking to black men in that video. And I want to bring something to the fore, whether you are from another culture or you do identify as Afro-American or black, whatever nation you come from. It doesn't even matter. Accountability is across the board. Accountability is not, if you want to be successful, whether it's in your career or in business, accountability is a skill that is required if you plan on ever being successful in your career and in your economic life. They weren't feeling it because what he says requires you to take a good old look at. And unfortunately, I'm not sitting up here saying that women don't have this problem. Accountability is an issue across the board. But he's specifically speaking to men in that particular commentary. And of course, because it's, and of course, he's also giving compliments to black women. That, of course, stings a little bit more, because there's a certain sector online that is very, very is very, very triggered when there are compliments being given to a specific sector of women. So the reason I want to actually have this conversation tonight is to unfortunately show you that lack of accountability can cost you more than you should ever be willing to pay. And the great thing about it is you can choose to be different. You can choose to be accountable. You don't have to choose to stay being in denial, doing different things. Here are just a couple of things, right? How can this cost you in the context of relationships and careers? Of course, he's talking about the relationship aspect of things. The lack of accountability amongst men, specifically black men, can lead to detrimental outcomes. In relationships, it can manifest as emotional unavailability. And if a woman that's mature is not going to stay around and sit around for long periods of time to deal with somebody that does not have that available or do not have emotional intelligence. infidelity or failure to support your partner, thereby the perpetual cycles of mistrust and instability. In Mr. Kyle, he advocates for accountability. It's a call to action for introspection and change. Unfortunately, there are so many people that are in adult bodies that are so dedicated to being dysfunctional. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Now, here are some of the I'm going to go over maybe 3 or 4 reasons why you want to make a choice to be different. As far as career advancement, here is what happens when you decide not to be accountable, right? This is number 1. Career advancements and promotions. What do they miss? Poor follow-up. Let's make sure we put that on the screen so everybody can see it. These are things that accountability can cost you. Poor follow-through, lack of initiative, blaming others for mistakes, and signaling unreliability to employers. You may be able to fake the funk with in personal relationships because there's no checks and balances in place. But if you carry that same attitude over into the career space, you could risk not advancing in your career. As a matter of fact, you can damage your career quite rapidly if you have that same attitude in the space. What impact does that have? Managers pass you over for leadership roles, increased responsibility, opting for those who show what? More maturity and ownership, because that's what accountability brings. Maturity and ownership. Unfortunately, there are so many people that are online that may be in adult bodies but still act like 5-year-olds when it comes to maturity, or they do their best to display the lack of maturity. Okay? This is just one thing that the lack of accountability is going to cost you. The second thing, right? Long-term career relationships. Hello, Notary World. How are you doing tonight? Welcome to the live. I want to make sure that you guys are here. Let me know as you join the live. If you have heard the video, if you guys just joining, then you can rewind a little bit so you can hear the 2-minute clip that I'm, using that clip to discuss how accountability is so beneficial in your career and the unfortunate mishaps and then the unfortunate things that can happen when you're not accountable in your career. Hello, Still Rocks. Welcome. I'm driving, so if I can't type like I want, I definitely agree with the gentleman. Awesome, Still Rocks. I appreciate you, participating in the live. Welcome. You guys are always welcome. I want to make sure that you guys understand that accountability is not something that's just lost on some men. There are women that are missing that as well. One of the other things that accountability can cost you, or lack of accountability can truly cost you. How will it impact you? Mentors, right? If you want to progress in your career, you want to progress in business. You always hear us talk about business mentors. I'm a career coach, mentoring you to become a better version of yourself professionally. That's my slogan. So we're looking at this from a career standpoint and how the lack of accountability can definitely damage your career opportunities and your business opportunities if you carry that same mindset and sentiment into your career. Okay? Impact. Mentors or professional allies become hesitant to invest in people that don't have accountability, cutting off valuable growth and learning networks. So this is not something you want to carry into. No accountability equals less opportunities, equals stunted professional relationships. So lack of accountability in your personal relationships, if that's the way you approach personal relationships, it's going to start affecting your professional relationships, and it is going to be very damaging to your professional relationships. Oh, hello, host OCL Sportsman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live. I want to make sure that you guys understand I'm not here to beat anybody up, okay? Because I know there's a certain sector of the interwebs that think that the minute somebody is giving their assessment on a situation, oh, they're beating us up and they're this and this and that, and we're going to lash out. This type of behavior is not only immature, it's unprofessional. And as you know, I am very down to earth, but I am also very professional. When it comes to how you behave in public, and this is considered a public forum from a world stage because anybody can access this stuff, right? Anyone in the world has a computer, has an internet connection, can see how you conduct yourself online. Not every screen name is unidentifiable. So you also have to keep that in mind as well. So I'm sure this gentleman got a lot of backlash, got a lot of, oh, this and this and this and that. And I'm sure the sector of the interwebs that buy into being, not accountable, tried to go for his neck. And unfortunately, they're only showing the level of accountability they're not willing to show, or they're not willing to exercise as grown adults. Okay. Business opportunities that they'll miss. Impact. I like to make sure that you guys see in writing what it is that I'm talking about, because I want the impact to be felt for anybody that's watching this in the future. Impact. Potential collaborators, investors, or clients move on to more consistent and self-aware individuals. Now, there's a word that people that don't like to be accountable tend to miss: being self-aware. It's so important. It's one of the traits of being emotionally intelligent and mentally mature. So you're going to hear those words all throughout our discussion tonight. And of course, guys, if you have questions, if you want to add to the conversation, please go ahead and drop your comments in the chat as well. Do you know somebody that their lack of accountability caused you to either end your relationship with them, or it caused you to exit stage left when you saw them coming? Like, you're like, yeah, I'm gone. I don't have time for this. Lack of accountability can cost you more than you are willing to pay. Now, another man, and this is what really upsets me. As a career coach, knowing that you have someone that is super talented, right? In the career field, right? We're going to look at this. Another impact: stable employment or freelance contracts. Why they are missed? Because lack of responsibility and lack of accountability can lead to lateness, missed deadlines, or workplace conflict. Red flags for employers and clients alike, right? That's never good for business, folks. That's never good for business. What's the impact on that? Even skilled men and women find themselves job hopping or being underemployed due to performance and behavioral concerns rooted in what? The lack of accountability. Do you want your career and your business acumen, your possibilities to be stunted, all because you are holding on, or you refuse, you're burrowing your heels into the dirt of not being accountable? Is it really worth it? You can choose to be different. I'm not just talking about what it can cost you. We're going to talk about how you can work to improve so you can become accountable. You can approach things like an adult, especially in the career and business space. In your personal life, I would hope you want to translate that in your personal life as well, because there's wonderful rewards, as you heard the gentleman talk about what it means when you become accountable in personal relationships as well as professional ones. Excuse me for a moment. But everyone here, you have a choice to make. What is it that you want in your career? What is it that you want in your life? Accountability is a huge part of that. I'm going to put it to you this way. Okay? Let's make sure. I'm going to close this sector of it so you understand what it is, how valuable accountability is in the career and business space. Okay? Accountability is the secret sauce to elevation. Without it, talent, intelligence, or even connections won't save a man or a woman, because this goes for everybody, from mediocrity. For Black men specifically, because that's who that commentator, that podcaster was talking about. Embracing accountability is not just personal growth, it's an act of rebellion against every system designed to expect less from you. Believe it or not, that's what being accountable can do for you. So if you look within yourself, and when you heard that video, if it struck a chord with you, right? If it struck a chord with you, or it pissed you off a little bit, like, man, why is he all up in the Kool-Aid right now? But you're self-aware and you have some introspection. You say, well, maybe I need to work on that. Maybe I need to work on that for real. So we are not absolutely ending, but I definitely want to bring up one of my guests. One of my other guests may not be able to make it, but I definitely invited them to have this discussion with me. And of course, guys, I'm going to introduce to some and welcome others to one of our wonderful guests here. Well, she's not really a guest. She's more of a sister and a friend than she is a guest. Welcome, everybody. Cherie, the money lady, or the leader of Black Women Making Money. Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome.
hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm like a cousin.
Yes, at this point.
I'm the cousin that you hang out with, and we're going to say honey child and, have a glass of wine or whatever it is we're doing. So I want to say hello to everyone this evening. I also want to say that I have no idea who this person is. I did not even see the video, so I'm hoping that you'll do the replay of the video for me. So
I'm gonna replay it again only because he a little colorful with his words.
He's colorful. He's colorful with his words, and he has no accountability. Wow.
No, he does. He does.
He does, but he's saying that other people. Okay, well, yeah, I guess catch me up. Well, first of all, welcome back to the YouTube streets.
Yes, ma'am. It's been a minute.
Welcome back, girl. That's because you've been living in the real world, right?
Yes,
I understand it, girl. There are times when I want to be more on YouTube doing live streaming, and I just don't have the time. I don't have the time, but yes, but yeah, I want to hear his colorful language, and then I'll be able to speak more Hey, Denise.
Okay,
I'll be able
Denise.
to speak more,
All right.
accurately about what this guy is saying.
All right. Let's run the tape again. Let's run the tape, y'all. Let's run the tape. Let's run the tape. One more time. Woo, I'm gonna warn you though.
Not harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not.
Yeah.
And you are accountable for that as well. Because I don't got time to figure out which white people are nice, which white people aren't racist, or da 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 da. I have to go on the actions of the group.
Right.
The group as a whole and the history of that group as a whole tells me that they are a danger to me and they are not to be trusted.
Right.
And if you can understand that as a black man and your stance towards white people, then you should absolutely be able to understand women's stance towards you. It's not a war on you waged by women. Actually, the war get a little thicker when we start talking about it from the perspective of a woman and the greater society of racism and white supremacy being waged against black people, and then the patriarchal society being waged against women. So they have to deal with two elements. One of those elements we don't have to think about, and honestly, we're perpetuated. And it's perpetuated against us young to look at women as objects,
Right.
to look at women only through the lens of a sexual desire and not as the human being that they are. And when you understand how to deal with women on a human level, you understand how much women will enrich your life.
Amen. Amen.
You want to turn it up a notch?
Yeah.
Get you a good woman and get your good black woman in your corner.
Amen.
Hey man, you want to see your life turn up?
Hey.
And see, this is the thing though. It's a privilege, bro. It's a privilege. You know what I'm saying? We often disregard the power of our black women. The spiritual essence that they're gonna bring to things. The knowing, the seeing, you know what I'm saying? Also too, imagine it. They have to be hyper vigilant because they have to be constantly scanning the room, making sure that they're in a safe situation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When we think about these kids who were clearly in Louisiana having the time of their fucking life because they graduated, and we think about white people's reaction to Black joy.
Oh yeah, that's
It's not about civility. It's not about decorum. They don't like to see us happy.
that's what it is.
Now, how often are women just having a good time, and here come a nigga trying to ruin their fun?
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. You can call it pandering, but if I was up here caping for white women, you wouldn't even mention that word. If I was up here caping for Hispanic women, you wouldn't even call it pandering. Only when we take pride and show love to black women do you call it pandering. Get your motherfucking mind right. Use your cabeza. Nice, which white people?
Okay.
He said a lot.
He said a lot. I told you he went
Ooh.
there. He went there.
Oof.
Right there.
And some of it, I'm like, okay, and some of it made me cringe. He's right that that Black women do have two things where, we are constantly going against: the racism and the sexism. Yes.
Correct.
And anybody who's here doesn't know me, I don't blame everything on racism, white supremacy.
No.
I think we as a people use that too much, right? But I'm not an idiot. I do think that there is systemic racism. Yes.
Of course.
But, majority of our problems is not around that, right?
Correct.
But yes, Black women, it's actually harder sometimes to be a woman and to go up against the sexism portions of, trying to navigate the world than it is the Blackness and
Right.
part of it. He, also said that Black men would do well to have a Black woman in their corner. I would say having the right Black woman in their corner, because I know some men are like, these women. Well, of course, we're talking about you have to have a good woman in your corner, right?
Exactly.
And so, all right, fine. He did say also that people would consider him pandering to Black women. And if he were talking about other groups of women, they would not say that. I don't think that's true. I think that you would have other people calling him pandering, calling and saying that he was pandering to other group, to
Right.
white women if he were doing like that. So I
Right.
don't think that's necessarily true.
Right.
The one thing that he did say that I would like to press back on was, and I don't know how this fits into your accountability thing yet, but he said that he judges white people by the group because all he can go on is the group and what the group has done. And I would say to him, be very careful, because when white people say they judge Black people by the group and not by you individually and what you've done, then you get upset by that. When I say you, I obviously don't mean Shelley or even him.
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of people who would get upset by that. So I don't think that that was a very helpful thing to say. But outside of that, I mean, everything else he said, not only is he colorful with his language, which his language wasn't that bad, the hair was colorful too.
I
The hair was colorful too. So part of that makes me wonder how he, no, not how. A part of me makes me wonder if a lot of his interactions with people of different ethnicities is not based on his outer appearance, So
you also have to consider the name of his podcast is Grits and Eggs, so it tracks. You know what I mean? You know what? I think because of how he speaks, very intelligent, but very down to earth as well. How he speaks, there's a particular type of person that would be, that would probably, listen to what he has to say. But a lot of what he has to say goes against a lot of what their certain sector of the interwebs believe. So of course he's getting backlash. The fact that he's pandering, they call it, because anything you say good about a woman, it's considered pandering to women. And good, bad, or indifferent, whatever race it is, if you say something good about a woman, especially, it's gonna be worse. It is gonna be 10 times worse. Oh, you're pandering and blah, 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 blah. Pump your brakes. Literally. Look in the mirror. If what he said really aggravates you, you might want to take a look in the mirror.
Yeah, what he said wasn't awful at all. I was expecting infinitely worse.
No.
I was like, is that it?
Yeah, because what he's saying, a lot of it is truthful. Of course, there's some that come from his perspective, and I get, he used the comparison between how people view race versus how people view gender, and how Black women in every essence has to deal with both, as far as keeping our heads on a swivel on a more consistent basis than anybody else, because we're dealing with both regularly, especially in professional and business spaces. Part of the reason I wanted to address the accountability piece, because there are certain parts of the interwebs that delve deep into the dysfunction. And whenever somebody says, oh, well, you guys do this, it's, oh, well, women do it too, and this and this and that, and it's not all this, and it's always this deflection that happens, and it's always this level of denial, literally, of what it is. The person is bringing this up because it is an issue, instead of you examining and say, let me think about that and see if there's something that can be done. Instead of receiving it, it's always a deflection, or it's this and this and that. It's nobody, no. And I wanted to talk about the accountability piece, because accountability is huge in the career and business sectors. And if you're going to he's talking about personal relationships, but accountability is accountability. You carry that across the board. And if you have a lack of accountability in personal relationships, it is going to filter into your business and career. And if you don't have a lot of accountability in those areas, your life is probably your life is probably showing and displaying what those results really are, and they're not great. You're not putting yourself in a better position on an economic level if accountability is lacking in how you do things, when you do things, who you're associated with, what it is that you're doing in your career and your economic life. So that's part of why I wanted to, of course, show what inspired it, but at the end of the day, what can we learn from this from a professional space? How does this translate in your professional life? Not just as women, but not just as men, but people in general. How does a lack of accountability really slap you across the face in a professional setting? And that's where I was when, of course, you joined. And I just wanted to get your perspective on that as well. That's really where I wanted to really dig deep into, how is this
Yeah.
lack of accountability affecting you?
So I have been watching lately, when I say lately, I mean the last couple of days, where there have been a couple of AI CEOs, artificial intelligence CEOs, that have been coming out saying um, that I think it's 20% of white collar entry level jobs are going to be gone in the next couple of years, something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and they're really talking about, for example, how jobs are going to change due to AI and things like that.
Mhm.
And you may ask, well, what does this have to do with accountability? The thought that's continuously in my head is either you're going to be accountable today or you're going to be left behind tomorrow.
Mhm.
So, the accountability is it's my responsibility to keep up with what's happening in my industry and to stay ahead of all of the skills that I need and
Yep.
to stay ahead of all the networking that I need to do, all the stuff that we talk about over my channel.
Of course.
Um, and to be accountable to that, right? It is also our responsibility to have and soft skills from an accountability point of view.
Right.
Am I communicating things properly? Am I saying things properly?
Mhm.
Within my job, I'm a loan officer. I've noticed that I've had to have conversations with people. We come to an agreement about something, and then I need to send a follow up email saying, this is what we talked about during the meeting, and this is what we decided on.
Right.
And, let me know if you agree, blah, blah, blah. Because that kind of accountability and follow up and all of that saved me earlier today, right?
Mm.
Um, but if things are not going right in our careers,
Mhm.
it's not other people's fault. It's
No.
it's our fault, right? We're
No.
accountable. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be great at every single
No.
um, opportunity that's out there. Like I need to find something that fits my skills, right?
That
But once
makes
I find something that fits my skills, it is my responsibility to become the best at that. And if I'm not making the kind of money that I want to make, either I haven't been in it long enough, so I just need to keep doing what I'm doing,
right.
or I'm going to be, personally responsible for the lack of advancement, the lack of income, things like that, that's happening in my life. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That makes total sense. We are, I've always talked about it on this channel, as you guys know. For those of you that may have, this is the first time you're encountering Cherie and myself. We preach accountability over here. That's not something that's lost on us in any way, shape, or form. But we also place the responsibility of your economic life is yours. You cannot push that off on somebody. You can't blame that on the government and the system and the this and the that. No. because blaming other people is not being accountable, leaves the responsibility of making changes to it to someone else. And that's not empowering. That you're literally disempowering yourself. And that's not going to get you anywhere. If you want to improve your economic situation, that is in your hands. It is up to you to keep up with your industry trends. How is AI affecting it? Are you training yourself, or are you getting the proper training so you can be indispensable when certain parts of AI or certain sectors of AI that touch different industries? Will you still be hireable in a few years if you don't skill up? Cherie talks about it on her channel, and I talk about it on this channel as well. Did you put yourself in a better predicament, or are you making efforts to do so? So that when changes are made, you are not going to be knocked off by it. And all of that leads back to, are you accountable for where your career is now and where it's going to be in 5 years? Or are you just going to go with the flow till you walk into the office and said, oh, a robot's doing your job. We no longer need you. Let's not wait till that happens, folks. Let's
Can
make
I
sure.
say,
Yeah.
can I interject here?
Sure.
Because the saddest thing that I foresee coming, and we're going to have a lot of people not being accountable, both men and women, is saying, I was laid off and I didn't know it was coming. When people have been telling you and telling you and telling you for 5 years, for 6 years, there are people who are saying now, like, hey, in the next 2 years, this is going to totally change. In the next 5 years, this is going to, by 2030, like on my channel, I show the ladies the articles, like by 2030, this is going to fundamentally be different. You got 5 years to get it together, right?
Pretty much.
So if you're paying attention, and I'm not saying pay attention to everything, because like I said, you sent me that clip earlier today, and I was like, "Who's this?" I couldn't even open up the clip. Like you just showed me the person's name, right? Um, I was like, "Okay, I don't know who that is," but I do know what people are talking about. Again, in my industry, or do I need to pivot my career, or
Mhm.
you know, things like that.
Right.
And that's a very important thing, And now we also have, based on people talking about the big, beautiful bill happening in Congress right now, we also have people saying that Section 8 may be cut off for people. Um, Food stamps may be cut off or reduced, or you're going to have to go to work. You're going to have to take more hours on, all of that stuff. And we will still have people whining on TikTok about, oh my goodness, I didn't know it was happening. I didn't know it was coming. And they giving you 2 years, I think it is. You got 2 years and then you have to do something else. Well, this goes back to me saying, like, you got 2 years. You could be an LPN in 2 years. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of there's a lot of things if you said, okay, starting today, I'm gonna do XYZ because I see this freight train coming.
I saw something earlier. I had a older gentleman that has been in the trades for many years tell me, when he was doing some repairs here at home, that they're paying, their trade schools paying people to learn a trade.
I
You
wouldn't be
don't even
surprised.
have to come out of pocket. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving you the money. They're giving you the trading for free for something that you can make money as a plumber, as an electrician, as a general contractor. Um, these are skills that, if you use them correctly, can pay you better than a doctor if you
Mm-hmm.
work in it long enough. So the options, the possibilities are endless if you are looking to truly make positive changes in your economic situation. Maybe you're tired of the office. All right, I want to do something where I can move around physical. All of those professions I just named off, those are great places to go. And it doesn't take long. You could be an apprenticeship. They pay you to learn. You do that for a year or two, you can either go off and start your own business or work for a more reputable company that's paying you more too. You get into your own business. Like, come on, folks. Possibilities are endless.
And can I add to that?
Sure.
If you are an employee or a prospective employee that acts like you have some sense, the possibilities are really I mean, the stuff that we're seeing online, the employees from health stories and things like that. If you're just somebody that knows how to say please and thank you, who knows how to dress, who knows how to speak professionally, you show up to work on time. You don't even have to be early, just on time. You're not I know cannabis is legal, but you're laying off all of that. You're moderate drinking, just doing the basics, Mentor Shelley. Just doing the basics. I mean, you could literally, people be like, oh my goodness, you're at the top of the food chain for doing the basics.
You're right.
Yes. So,
right. It's one of those things where, like, this is kind of why I wanted to, like, bring it back to something basic. Why is it why is accountability so shunned among certain sectors of our society? Why? They don't understand how valuable accountability. They don't understand how valuable accountability really is. Accountability is not the enemy, folks. Accountability is the elevator. Because if you can look at your career path right now, and you say, well, okay, I'm mid-career, or I've been in this field for 5 years. How is AI affecting my career? Whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. Do I need to make a move? Right? What is it that I can change so that I'm still viable 5 years from now? I can still earn a living 5 years from now. Do I need to start a side business, or do I need to have freelance services, or do I need to make sure I take on promotable tasks so I can get promoted in my field? You have to look at that from a standpoint, and all of that requires what? Accountability. Accountability is not the enemy. It's literally the litmus test between who's successful and who is not. Lack of accountability is going to put you where? In the poorhouse, complaining online about women's, when really you have to look in the mirror and make a decision. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong. I was actually typing up lack of accountability will put you in the poorhouse, because that's the truth. I'm going to say the Po house, POHOUSE.
The Po house.
And for whatever reason, it's not showing up. But yeah, the PO house.
The Po house.
Yes.
Good
yes.
Lord. Like,
so,
and here is what, I'm not just going to sit here and beat a dead horse all day, but accountability, if that is something that is an issue, let's start small, folks. Let's start small. Here's how small we can start. All right. Here's how to shift the mindset so we can be more accountable. Okay. Let's start small. Let's see here. Start small. Ask one question, admit one gap. One step at a time. That's not too much to ask. It's your career. It's your economic life. Take one step. I said, okay, I need to make a change. All right. What is the change I want to make? And then you do that. That's step one. Let's take step two. Okay. Get around builders. Get around people. Put yourself in spaces and places with people that are going somewhere, not going in the gutter, but going somewhere where you want to be. 5 years from now, you want to increase your yearly salary, or you want to increase your revenue by $50,000 in the next 2 to 3 years. You can't be around people that are blaming everybody and everything about everything that they need to change in their life. You got to be around people that's done it before. You got to be around people that have an idea or have a navigation, or they may not have achieved 50,000 in 2 years more, but they may have achieved 20 or 30. Have conversations with them. How did you do it? What did you do? Did you start a business? Did you provide freelance services? Did you learn a new skill? What did you do? You can't get that information around people that are digging their heels and all they know how to do is complain. Because I almost guarantee the folks that was attacking Mr. Deontay, those aren't progressive people. They're not. And they may come back and try to kowtow me online, but I want to say this. Your lack of accountability is showing in your wallet. Do you want to have it keep showing up in your wallet, or are you going to actually make the decision to be different or to do something about that?
Ouch.
Listen.
So I will. Oh, go
Mhm.
ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I want to put that out there because I know some of these folks, oh, this and this and that, and you're attacking me. No, I'm keeping it 100% real because maybe somebody hasn't been honest with you. You got to be honest with yourself. Fix it. Go ahead, Trey.
Um, so I want to do something a little bit more tangible with this
Mm-hmm.
exercise here. So
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that you say, start small, ask one question, admit one gap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, for some people, it really is about sitting down and writing out what you want for your life, like designing your life. What do you want? What do you want in the next 12 months? What do you want in the next 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is? And that kind of depends on you and how far down you are right now. For some people, it's about writing a list of things you don't want. Sometimes you can sit down, you're like, I don't even know what I want. Great. Write the list of things you don't want, because a
Yeah,
lot of people are like that, where,
of
you know,
course.
I don't want to be broke anymore. I don't want to be fat anymore. I don't want to be, whatever it is. I don't want to be in this toxic job anymore. Great. And then you start writing the opposite. What do you do? If you don't want to be in the toxic job anymore, you want to get a new job, or you want to start your business and have that business be able to pay for your bills. Great. You know, um, Sometimes, and Mentor Shelley did mention this, sometimes it's writing a list of 5 people who have done what you wanted to do and who are where you want to be. And
Mm-hmm.
you go and you interview them. You like actually, open up your email, open up your text messages, whatever it is, and say, I really need your help. Would you sit with me for 30 minutes? I just want to ask you how you got, where you want to be. And you write, like Smith Shelley is doing, write down 3 to 5 questions that you want them to definitely answer for you. I actually had to do that last week. My boss, yeah, it was last week. My boss
Mm-hmm.
was like, we need to do some different things within the company. I need you to go interview the top people. And I did. And I, came back with the bullet point list of this is what they're doing.
Okay.
Now, you know, are we going to do this or not, kind of thing. Right. Um, so, tangibly, these are the things.
Yeah.
Another one gap is, if you work in a decent environment and they're like, okay, but there's room for improvement. Let's say that you've gotten your, but it's not an evaluation, your annual review. Isn't
Right.
that right?
Performance
Okay.
review. Mm-hmm.
Your performance review.
Right.
Yes. Looking at that list and saying, hey, you know what? I know that in the next 12 months or 24 months, I want to be promoted. What's the thing on this list that's preventing somebody from giving me that promotion
Mm.
and or that raise? And that's the one gap that you have. That's the one thing that you need to be focused on, right?
Right.
Another thing, and we've talked about this on our channel, Mentor Shelley, we've
Yes.
talked about the fact that people are not using their training budget. Hello.
Yeah.
Maybe the start small thing is go look in your handbook or talk to your HR person. How much of a training budget do I have? And then go sign up for a class based on what you need, what skills you need, etc.
Mhm.
Some of us need to work on the resume, some of us need to work on LinkedIn. So I just kind of wanted to throw out some ideas because I always like people to take it from, the general kind of, we're saying admit one gap and start there, to
Mhm.
here's a list of things that it could be. You have to figure out what it is for yourself.
I'll take it a step further, jumping over into your industry for a moment, right? You want to improve your life economically, not necessarily through the job, but you want to put yourself in a position in the next year or two to invest in real estate. In order for you to do that, one of the first one gap that you have to fill is, how's your credit looking? Mm? Is your credit looking a little strange? Is your credit looking a little eh? Or is it great? If it's the first two, then that's where our resident cousin of the channel, Miss Credit Solutionist, can help you um, to get to work on that credit, because great credit opens doors to investing, to other opportunities to level up your income outside of the job. But if the credit ain't good, you got to work on that first, because that's one of the stepping stones to going to different places. All of that takes what? Accountability. Comes right back to that. Something small. Okay, I want to do something else. I don't want to necessarily purchase a home. Let's say I want to start a two-row business. What does a two-row business require? A vehicle. Is my credit good enough to buy a vehicle to start that business? If the answer to that question is yes, wonderful. If the answer to that question is no, got to work on the credit. If the answer to that question is yes, what type of vehicle am I going to buy? What's the research what other tour business owners are doing? So something as basic as credit is so important. You're in you're in the mortgage business. Of course, that's one of the first things you look at, right? In order for you to obtain a decent mortgage, depending
Correct.
on it, whether depending it is for your own home, or if it's for, for an investment property, or if it's for corporate building, you have to be looking at personal credit, or you have to be looking at business credit. All of that requires that first step. What's the first step in that? Your credit. So it's not just about the job, it's about leveling up economically. Accountability is at the center of all of it. And if you lack accountability, you're walking away from opportunities that can literally level you up in the economic space. Cherie just talked about some of the things you can do on the job. I just touched on some of the things you can do outside of the job. At the end of the day, folks, that one step, that one gap can make all the difference. But it requires what? Accountability. Okay. Sheree, did you want to add to that before I move to one more point? Because I'm gonna close down a little bit, but I want to just make sure that you guys understand this is not something to take lightly. Accountability is really that serious. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let me see here. Uh, I want you guys to understand that talent without accountability is not going to get you anywhere. You can be as talented as possible. If you don't use it in the right way or apply it in the right way, you're still stuck. Sorry, hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's true. Let me see here. And I want you to understand that the man is not fighting against you. You are fighting against yourself. You're not being punished. You're being ignored. Why? Because professionals do not want to waste time with people that don't own their results, whether that be on the job, in business, or just in networking period, or in your professional spaces. Nobody's punishing you. You're doing it to yourself if you don't have accountability. It's that serious. Sheree, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, what was the comment that you said before you put this in?
No, I was saying that oh geez, I'm saying so much. Talent without accountability.
That's it. Yes, that's actually what I thought you were going to type in here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that because I was watching another YouTuber, and he did the expose on Beyonce, and he was talking about the fact that in the early 2000s, when Beyonce was rising up in Destiny's Child, but she wasn't the breakout star at the time, that there were a lot of, and this is his quote, light-skinned girls that could sing at the time. And he said, and he like listed them out, right? And he said, but what made Beyonce the breakout star? He said, we can't just say it was her light skin, right? He said it was her work ethic. Exactly. The accountability piece of it. And then he also said that there was a point where she fired her father and she became the CEO of her brand. Now, at the time, she married Jay-Z, and who knows what's happening on the back end there, right? But,
right.
Okay, we get it, right? But you can be extremely talented. And if you don't have work ethic or accountability, as tonight's conversation is, it won't make a difference. It won't make a difference at all. And we can take that beyond entertainment. You could be a talented plumber. You could be talented carpenter. You could be talented in HR. You could be talented with financial coaching, for example. I do a lot of financial coaching being a loan officer. Right. And yet, if I'm not, I'll just take myself, if I'm not accountable for reading the guidelines, knowing the rules around given lending, doing the certain things that need to be done in order to, talk to my realtors and promote myself and things like that, then nothing's going to happen. Right?
Right.
And all of us have that. This is why it is important for us to preferably get in a career that we're skilled in, not necessarily that we're passionate about. But they do say find a career that we are skilled in. And if you are highly skilled and you're accountable, nothing can stop you.
Exactly.
Nothing can stop you. So I do think that that's a very important thing that you mentioned there is I also want to say being super accountable, meaning that you're doing a lot of stuff. If you don't have a certain amount of talent in that thing, it's also not going to help you either. So, and part of the accountability is asking myself, let's take people who want to get into the NFL and the NBA. That's a perfect example, right? You're spending however many hours a day out there practicing, out there playing, and yet, as accountable as you are, quote unquote, you may not have the talent to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Your talent may have to go someplace else. So it is a dual thing.
Yeah.
And I just, wanted to kind of bring that out in this
Of course.
conversation as well.
Of course. Yeah. And it's not that people aren't talented. There's a lot of people that got talent in the world. What are you doing with it?
Mm-hmm.
How are you using it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you consistent?
Mm-hmm. And I do want to comment on the you're not being punished, you're being ignored.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I learned this years ago when I was younger. When you speak to people who are successful, they are very, very strategic about their time.
Yes.
And they're very, very strategic about who they mentor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell the ladies on my channel this all the time, that if you have somebody who you say, I want to be mentored by you, right? I want to talk to you. I want to find out what you did to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you, do these 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't do those 3 things, but then you come back to them and say, well, can you give me another hour of your time? They're going to say no. They're going to say no, right? But if you say, let's say they gave you 3 things and you go back to them 30 days later or whenever and say, hey, I did those 3 things you told me. I bought the book, I read it, I did this, I did that. Well, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give you more time, right?
Right.
I'm always talking about promotable tasks
Right.
on my channel as well. Like if you want to be an upwardly mobile person,
Right.
then you're looking for promotable tasks at work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? If I give you the basics of your job to do and you don't do those things, guess what? I'm not going to give you anything extra, including any promotable task.
Say that.
But you have to be able to do the things you've been assigned thus far, the basics. Now, I'm not saying you say yes to everything beyond that, but whatever your job description is, you're doing the basics. Then people will bring you the promotable task and you're going to be strategic about those things, right?
You have,
So
yeah.
it's the same thing. So go ahead, Mr. Shelley.
Yeah, that if you it's kind of like expecting the big piece of cheese, but you can't master the little piece of cheese. They're not gonna give you any more if you can't handle the crumb. What makes you think you're gonna be able to handle the loaf? Something as simple as following instructions will have people twisted in the wind, wondering what happened and why did you get this opportunity? Because you were supposed to do X and you had a problem with doing X. So Y and Z is not going to come if you don't do X. Because in order for you to get to Y and Z, you have to do X. You learn something from doing it. That's why they gave you the instructions to do it. Hello, you wanted to be promoted. Okay. The question you would go in and ask that, when you're having the conversation with your boss, in my review, this and this and that, these are the things that we're looking for. These are the type of attributes that we attribute to a leader. What are some of the things that is in my job description now, and the other things that I would like the opportunity to do, or like the opportunity to, take a stab at it, be able to, we want you to work on XYZ project to improve XYZ department, or you can work on, we have an issue here where things are chaotic. If you can create a process, or you can work with that team to help whatever, have them have a better or smoother transition, so it saves them time and it saves the company money overall. Those are the 2 buzzwords. If it's going to equal, it's going to touch the bottom line, they're interested in that. Okay, so if they tell you, okay, this project and work with this team. So if you want to be promoted, what are you going to work on? The very things you discuss in that meeting, not something else off the far reach lands that you made up in your head. No, the reason you're asking the question is to get the direction in what do I need to focus on. They look at this as a great leadership quality. Taking initiative is a great leadership quality. Doing things without being asked, leadership quality. Expecting, because if you do something long enough, or you're working with a particular person, whether you report to this person or you work adjacent with this department, leaders are asking for this. Expect it and be able to do it even before they ask. You become indispensable that way. But if you're not listening, that's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. If you're not listening to what is said, they said do X, Y, Z. These are the things that can get you promoted. Because if you don't ask the question, you'll never know. That's number one. Asking the right questions when you sit down for those performance reviews. I'm going down the rabbit hole and giving a whole piece of a consultation at this point. But if you don't do the promotable task, when it's time to get promoted, what are the qualities? What makes you different from everybody else in the department? Did you do what they said to do for them to look at you as a leader? Did you take an initiative? Like some of the things, as I said, some of the things people shoot themselves in their foot. You're not being punished. You're being ignored because you're not doing what was necessary to garner the proper attention to be able to be promoted. If you ask a question, they tell you just do that and do some more on top of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing about accountability is work friends. So Mentor Shelley was talking about, have you done the things to prove that you are going to be a leader within that organization or a manager? Mm-hmm. Leadership and management is not just about, can I do the thing better? It is, can I manage people? So you're going to be tested with regards to, who your peers, work friends are, peers/work friends are. Right. And I've seen it quite a bit where a person is not promoted, not because they are not skilled at whatever that thing is that requires them to be a manager, but they don't have the people skills, or they've become too friendly. Mm-hmm. It's more so people who become too friendly with people, and the upper management is saying, yes, but we're concerned if we promote person X, that they are too friendly with everybody else and they're not going to be able to effectively manage that department. So this is also why you see when people become managers, they tend to move to other companies in order to get a management position where they can start off clean, Yep. But that's some of the accountability that has to be held as well. Like, am I going to be able to hold my other team members' feet to the fire when it comes time to do that?
Boy,
I'm getting into prickly stuff right now, but it's the truth.
It's woo, especially because I am in human resources more so than anybody else. Listen, I'm Matt Cool. Hey, how you doing? Real lively. But when it comes to keeping you accountable, I have no problem with doing that. People are like, oh, that's a switch up. No, sweetie. It needs to be done. At the end of the day, I might be friendly, but I'm going to always be professional. And accountability is at the top tier of my list. Why? What I'm in the field of human resources, for crying out loud. I don't have a choice because there's laws that is going to be broken if I don't keep myself along with the other employees accountable for their actions.
Well, everybody, Mentor Shelley, close your ears. Everybody, HR is there to protect the employer. HR is there to protect the employer.
Very
So,
true.
and a tornado is about to come to our area. So I'm going to actually log
Oh,
off.
okay.
But I hope I said something tonight that, helped the conversation.
Absolutely. We
Um,
listen. We always
yes.
appreciate when you stop by. Always insightful, always giving those wonderful golden nuggets for us to not only learn, but grow. And of course, become better professionals with the advice that you've given tonight and your insight. It is always appreciated, of course, because she's a cousin of the Mentor Shelley channel. We always appreciate Black Women Making Money Leader, or Cherie, the Money Lady. So, of course,
I'm the
guys,
money lady.
before you go, if you are looking
Mhm.
for that, in the show notes of this, you can always reach out to Cherie. She is a licensed loan officer. Am I correct? No, am I
That
saying
is correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you can always reach out to her. Her information is in the show notes for tonight's show. You can also go to either Black Women Making Money's channel, or you can go to Cherie the Money Lady's channel to find her and her content as well. Cherie, thank you so much for stopping by, and I really do appreciate you giving us this little time. Please stay safe. Hopefully,
Thank
it
you.
passes over you and nothing happens, because we had a
Yes.
little tornado touchdown on our side yesterday too. Thankfully, it didn't come in my city. But hey, anything's possible.
Yes. Yes. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Mentor Shelley. See you later.
All right, dear.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. All right. Now, last but certainly not least, I'm here talking to you guys about things about how accountability, or the lack thereof, can hurt. Now, here are some of the things that I will also um, put before you to make sure that you have in place. Number one, do a personal audit. What habits keep you stuck, folks? Take radical ownership. That's what accountability is all about. Take radical ownership. No more "they didn't support me" stories, because you can't control what other people do. The only thing you control is yourself and your actions. What did you not do? Surround yourself with people that are going to keep you accountable. And if you are going to move or actually grow in your career and in your business acumen, you are going to need mentorship, structure, and a real strategy, which is what we were talking about earlier. Taking that one gap step, taking that first step, whatever your goals are, whether it is to get into a better job, whether it is to improve or start a business, whether it is to work on your personal credit. We talk about those things on this channel as well in different areas. As far as Cherie is concerned, if you're looking to purchase a home or investment property, the show notes are below for her contact information. My other, the other cousin of the channel, Ashley, the credit solutionist, if you're looking to really, use your credit to be able to level up economically, and you want to start with your first step is getting your credit together, you can go ahead and you can either go to the credit solutionist or go to mycreditcall.com to make sure, and she does have consultations available for you to at least get started on those goals. My main reason and main thought, right? Of course, if you're looking to level up in your career, of course, go ahead and book a consultation with me here. You can go to mentorshelley.com/consultations, because accountability is at the core of you becoming a better professional. Accountability and action, let me specify, is at the core of becoming a better business person, becoming a better business owner. It is at the core of you knowing, number one, where you are right now, where you're going, and the steps it's going to take to get there. All of that requires accountability. That is why I wanted to talk about this tonight. Yes, he had some call for words, but what he said at the core was a great message. You have to be accountable for what it is you do and say. You cannot blame the world for something you have control over, which is your thoughts and your actions, whether they're directed towards personal relationships or they're directed towards career and business. Of course, I always preach here to you're responsible for your own personal economics, whether you're enriched that with a job, with a business, with freelancing work, or with investing. And at the end of the day, of course, I talk about Cherie and I also talk about Ashley. We're all in the business space to be able to help you level up in all of those ways. So you can schedule a consultation with me to help you to get the career and business piece going. Cherie is a loan officer that can help you with investments. And of course, in order for you to be ready for investments, got to get your personal credit on board. So that's where Ashley, the credit solutionist, would come in. And she also has like debt counseling as well with some of her, some of her consultations. Guys, I want to make sure that you are in the best shape possible to improve and level up economically. This is why I wanted to touch on this. It may seem like, oh, I was being messy, but at the end of the day, there's always a message. And he gave a great message. And I want to also leave you with this message. In order for you to become a better professional, you have to be accountable. Okay, guys, remember, if you don't remember anything else, in order for you to become a better professional, in order for you to become a better business, in order for you to become a better person, you have to be accountable. Accountability is at the center of all of that. Let me make sure I put this last statement up. Accountability is not the enemy. It's the elevator to becoming a better version of you. All right, guys. This is Mentor Shelley. For those of you that joined tonight, Denise, well, thank you so much for joining the conversation. OCL Sportsman, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Still Rocks, always appreciate you stopping by. Notary World, and anyone else that joined the live stream and may not have, contributed to the conversation. Of course, Cherie, the money lady, or of course, Cherie, the leader of Black Women Making Money. We do appreciate you stopping by and providing us with such really rich and insightful and useful nuggets to contribute to the conversation of accountability. All right, guys, this is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better professional. And in doing so, you must be accountable. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one. Bye.